Do you often find yourself being left in your opponent's dust on the Touge? Or maybe you always find yourself losing time through the corners? If so, it's rarely about your vehicle. What's much more likely is that your rivals are better at finding the racing line. Even in professional motorsports, the racing line decides who wins and loses a majority of the time. It's of paramount importance that anyone wanting to take driving seriously learns how to find and use the racing line for every corner. In this video, I'll be teaching you how to do exactly that. So make sure you stay tuned because this is possibly the most important video in my How to Touge series so far. I want to start the discussion on how to master the racing line with a reasonably obvious piece of physics. Corner speed is proportional to corner radius. But what does this mean exactly? Simply put, the more speed you carry through a corner, the larger the radius of the turn must be. Alternatively, the tighter the radius of the corner, the slower you must drive. Simple enough, right? Driving for a turn using the largest possible radius means following what we call the geometric line. This is the line that you would draw with a compass, using up every inch of the road surface, from the outside edge to the inside edge and back to the outside again on a constant radius. If you decrease the radius of a turn by not using all of the road, your maximum speed will be significantly reduced. For example, by entering a corner even 1 foot away from the edge of the road, the radius of the turn may be reduced by as much as 1%. Well, what's 1% worth? As much as half a second on some Touges. From this, I'm sure you see how critical using every single inch of the track really is. Here's a quick question for you. Which corner do you think you can drive through the fastest? Got your answer? Well, it's the right one, the one with the largest radius. The same theory applies to the line you drive. The largest radius or arc you follow, the faster you can drive. Although the geometric line is the fastest way to drive through each particular turn, it is not the fastest way of getting through the entire Touge. The reason for this has to do with the fact that there is usually something following the turn that is more important, the straightaways. Also, more corners, but we'll cover that a little bit later on. If you have driven at least one Touge or racetrack in your life, I'm sure you already know that it is far easier to pass a competitor on the straights than it is in the turns. It is far more important to be fast on the straights than the corners. Obviously, this doesn't mean you should crawl around each corner, but what it does mean is driving the turns in such a way as to maximise your straightaway speed. And that means altering the line you drive from the geometric line to one that allows for easier acceleration. This is what we call the ideal line. In most cases, that means driving a line with a later turn in, apex and exit. There are a few benefits of using a line with a later turn in, apex and exit. For starters, you spend less overall time in the corner. Less time in the corner means more time on the straight, or at least near the straight. Secondly, you are able to begin accelerating earlier. The sooner you get back on the throttle, the faster you'll be down the straight. Thirdly, you can maintain your speed on the approach to a corner much longer by simply braking later. And lastly, you'll have better visibility through the corner. By turning in a little bit later, it allows you to see around the turn. Along with those benefits comes a negative, however. In this case, due to the later turn in, your line through the early part of the turn is a tighter radius. And you know now that this means lower speed. But the trade-off is an easy decision. Yes, you have to go a little slower early in the corner, but you more than make up for it down the following straight by beginning to accelerate earlier. Now that I've convinced you of the benefits of using a late apex on each corner, let me throw a massive spanner in the works by giving you a general rule. Nay, a very general rule of thumb. The faster the corner, the closer to the geometric line you should drive. The slower the corner, the more you need to alter your line with a late apex. Let me show you why this is the case. Change of speed. Remember that phrase. The greater the potential for change of speed from corner entry to corner exit, the straighter the line you want your car pointed at to allow for acceleration. In other words, the slower the corner, the later the apex you should use. A corner taken in first or second gear is certainly going to allow for a greater change of speed than one taken in fourth or fifth. So you want to use a later apex in the former than you would in the latter. Based on what you now know about corner radius versus speed, you could also interpret my general rule as the tighter the radius, the later the apex. The larger the radius, the earlier the apex, or in other words, closer to a geometric line. In simple terms, a slow hairpin will require a later apex than a fast sweeping turn. Once again, the reason has to do with your change of speed. In a hairpin turn, you'll be accelerating hard out of the corner. Your change of speed will be relatively high. Your change of speed for a high speed turn will not be so high due to your car's reduced ability to accelerate the faster you are travelling. If that doesn't make sense, ask yourself this question. Can my car accelerate from 100 to 110 miles per hour as quickly as it can go from 50 to 60? The obvious answer is no. Any car, no matter how much engine torque it has, can accelerate quicker in the lower gears than in the higher gears. Conversely, when we get into a corner that is not followed by a usable straight, or one that is long enough to allow overtaking, an early apex must be used. Why? Well, since there is not a lot to be gained on the exit of the turn, we want to maximise the benefit of your entrance speed. In other words, sacrifice the corner's exit speed to maintain the straightaway speed for as long as possible. To do this, brake as late as possible, pick up the apex early, continue braking into the turn and position the car for whatever comes after the corner. Remember, straightaway speed is of utmost importance. The final type of corner is the compound curve, where two or more turns are linked together. The rule here is to get set up for the last curve that leads onto a straight, and then drive the last corner like you would any corner leading onto a straight with a late apex. The first curves in the series are unimportant and must be used to get set up for the last one. Try to get into a smooth, gentle rhythm in a compound curve. Anytime you have a succession of corners, your main concern should always be the last one. Again, concentrate on carrying good speed out onto the straightaway. Drive the corners in such a way to maximise your performance through the final corner onto the straight. Learning the racing line takes practice. All I can say is try to learn the course before driving it at speed. Identify each corner, and if it's an early, middle or late apexer. At some point this will all become second nature to you, but for now I hope this video helped. If you did find it helpful, please feel free to drop a like and let me know what you thought in the comments. Subscribe for more Touge tutorials, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.